And often one of the truest observations of this or illustrations of this is when you get a star into a league and the employees / the athletes don't like how they're treated and don't like how they're changing the direction of the league. So Michael Jordan made the NBA global. And Gretzky won 8 straight MVPs. And what happens, by the way, Muhammad Ali, my dad didn't like him. He liked Frazier. I was Ali. Caitlin Clark is essential. The Caitlin Clarks, the Michael Jordans, the Christian Pulisic saying, I'm not going to go and play. It is essential to American sports, these disruptive figures who just don't always either toe the company line for the GM, it drives us crazy. Dissent drives us crazy. But Caitlin Clark is basically saying, yeah, I'm going to score. I'm going to change the tempo. I'm going to do a little trash talking. I'm going to have my tongue out. And here come the rivals. Here comes retaliation. And this is essential for the growth of this league.
It's weird. I mean, I kind of agree with that. But, Colin, I don't think it's anything Caitlin Clark's doing that has everybody jealous and angry about her in the league. I think it's that the league says, we've been playing basketball. This league's been around for 20 years. We've been here forever. Why is the media, why are you guys only now showing up with microphones in our face because of Caitlin Clark?
Well,
I think a lot of this is media driven. Like, players are angry seeing Caitlin Clark highlights all over social media.
You know what you never had? A Moses Malone fan club. Why? Because he scored on layups under the basket. Stylistically, Moses Malone was a dominant player, but he wasn't a polarizing player. He didn't create animosity.
Do you remember
because stylistically, Curry got attention. Michael got attention. Magic got attention. Caitlin's getting attention. The style does matter. 100%. It's not just point. Karl Malone, boring.
Yeah.
Moses Malone, great but boring. They didn't create that kind of uproar. When your style is flashy and can humiliate other players, that's when it gets personal. That's when you send the bullies after them to send a message. And I do think Caitlin's style it rubs people sometimes the wrong way.
Yeah, there is a lot more to unpack here, and we're going to keep unpacking all of this, and I really can't wait to do it with you guys all. They hate Caitlin Clark because they're not her, and it's a combination between her style of play and because of what J Mac is alluding to with the media, and you know, people are like, we've been here for 25 years, and your product has been garbage. You have to just admit that. Like, you have other people, you have people that are so delusional, so confused, where they're like, we've had women in the WNBA for years doing stuff that Caitlin Clark has done. Really? Well, then why is Caitlin Clark setting record after 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 record? I could make a 10-minute video just going record after record after record. So if you've had these girls doing this in the league for the last 25 years, then why is Caitlin Clark on track to essentially shatter every single metric in the WNBA? How can both of those things be true? People are like, well, Sabrina's been doing this since whatever. And it's like, really? Well, then why is Caitlin Clark already surpassing her? Well, Asia Wilson. And it's like, all right. I mean, like, who cares? Is she doing what Caitlin Clark is doing? Is she making 30-foot threes back to back to back? No, I don't think so. And then you combine that with this war of Caitlin Clark only being popular because of physical reasons. And that now is not only then becomes media driven, but then it becomes the people start to believe it. You have one of the dumbest statements that I've ever heard. And this made me so angry because this is someone who's been around the block once or twice. This came from someone who has a tremendous amount of experience, both positive and negative. And she should have known better.
Caitlin Clark had an amazing year and is nominated for 3 awards. Caitlin, you are the Larry Bird in that you are an amazing player. You have ties to Indiana, and white people are really crazy about you.
It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. You're sending the message that people only like her for superficial reasons. And it's a disgrace. And to have someone as big and popular as Serena Williams, who has a platform and obviously has an insane amount of success and popularity in her own right, where Serena Williams took over the sports world, where she transcended all different genders and ages and physical appearances. She's living proof of that. She's also faced her own share of discrimination, not taking that away from her. But obviously, as she became a global mega superstar, there were plenty of people from Indiana looking like Larry Bird, loving her too. And like, that's the platform that she could have used to kind of bridge some of this, to lower the volume with some of this nonsense. So you do get this hostility. So Caitlin Clark is getting hostility and hate from all the angles. From just, I'm jealous because you're better than me. I'm jealous because you get more money, more fame, more attention, more everything than me. I'm jealous because you also got what you got because of a reason that's not fair. That it's an injustice of this world. So it's like from every level, they hate her. No matter what background they come from. No matter who they are. Whether they look like Caitlin Clark or look like the opposite of Caitlin Clark. She's getting the hate and the jealousy and the envy everywhere. Because people do. They'll paint to an A'ja Wilson. They'll paint to some of these other players. Be like, why isn't she as popular? And they make up the reasons why. And that's why Steph Curry is actually the perfect example. Because, and I mentioned this last year, they tried to do the same thing to Steph. When Steph took over the NBA, they said, well, look at him and LeBron on a spectrum of physical appearance. America's okay accepting Steph and not LeBron. And it's like, LeBron is one of the biggest celebrities and biggest superstars in the history of the universe. Stop trying to make this something that it's not. It's just ridiculous. One of the biggest reasons why Steph Curry took over the world, one, because he's absolutely amazing. Two, his game is insanely exciting. And three, it's easier for me to see myself in Steph than LeBron. Like it was easier to see myself in Allen Iverson, definitely don't look like AI, than I did Shaquille O'Neal. All right? Tim Duncan. Dirk Nowitzki. Because you know what? I'm not 9 feet tall. So styles of play makes fights. We know that. We know that. So Caitlin Clark is insanely exciting. But all the reasons why she's so popular just keep getting twisted and twisted and twisted and twisted and twisted. And the media and the WNBA love to feed in it. And you know what? A lot of these people actually become victims. Like the Angel Reeses of the world. And believe me, I ripped Angel Reese plenty. But they become victims because they're also fed a message that's just not accurate. They say, America won't accept you, Angel, because of awful, disgusting reasons. But they accept Caitlin Clark because of also awful, disgusting reasons. And that's just the way it is. Sorry, girl. Like, that's the message. And I don't blame her for believing it. Because it's going to be tied with some real world experience for her. And also she's young and being fed this stuff. And, you know, people that are smarter than her, Serena Williams, Serena knows. And so Serena Williams sends this message and it's like, well, yeah, that's the way it works. And it's disgusting because the powers that be should be like, yeah, you know, some of that, there's maybe a little bit of truth to that, but like not really. And listen, it's 2025. It's not 1825. The world has drastically changed. Are we in a perfect world? Do we live the lives that we wish we're all living right now? Not necessarily, but we're really grateful right now. And if what people were saying about Caitlin Clark is true, well then Paige would be larger than life. Haley Van Lith would be larger than life. Sabrina larger than life. The most popular quarterback in the NFL right now would be Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Instead, it's Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Okay? The most popular NBA player would be, Jokic. And it's not. Not even close. So we can stop with this. We can stop with this. We can stop feeding into it. And the reality is that the powers that be need to be the ones to voice that. Because when I saw that ESPYs thing last year, like, I found it gut-wrenching. I interact with a lot of, younger kids these days, nieces and nephews and whatnot. And, I'm interacting with them, their friends, all of this. And I see the innocence. I see the joy. I see the blank slate. I see how I can make a little comment. And no matter what I say, they like hang on to every word. And you got to be careful with what you say, the way how you just phrase a basic sentence. Like you could just see how they're just like, they just hang on your words. And it's heartbreaking that a seemingly like innocent joke that a Serena Williams can make is you're sending a message to a young girl that doesn't look like Caitlin Clark, and you're sending it to her and saying, you'll never be as popular as Caitlin Clark because of the way you look. I just can't imagine some of the young girls that I see, and some of the young boys for that matter. I could not imagine sending that message to them at like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, 7, 6, 5, I mean, any age range. I just could not imagine. And the reality is like, they absorb that message. They absorb that message. And it would be heartbreaking. Someone like Serena and some of these other women that actually have a platform should be pushing the opposite message. The opposite message. But that's bad for business. What gets clicks? What gets views? What gets people talking? And it's sad. And I really do think this is why we get the heightened hate on Caitlin Clark. I think we were still going to have a lot of jealousy and a lot of hate, even if some of these other things didn't exist. Because there is still plenty of jealousy and hate in ball. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. I grew up with one of the greatest athletes I've ever known. An absolute freak of an athlete. And multi-sport. I played multi-sports, and he was just always better than me. And it was a tough pill to swallow, and I had a lot of envy and hate. Now I look back and I got nothing but respect for the man. And he got further than me, playing specifically football, and it was a tough pill to swallow. And like I wanted to see him lose. I wanted to see him suffer. I wanted to beat him, and et cetera, et cetera. And we looked alike, okay? We looked very similar to one another. And yet, if he was extra popular because of the way he looked and appeared, it would make me even angrier. And you know what? I can make the argument because he was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy, and it was during a time when blonde hair and blue eyes were just the kings, right? The Brad Pitts, the Leos, all that type of stuff. You could thank the Jersey Shore for making brown hair, brown eyes I felt like I don't look like him either. He's got everything. And it made me even angrier. And I get it. But it's just not 100% true. And Serena Williams standing there with her massive, 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 massive popularity and success proves otherwise of the message that she's trying to enforce there. And I find it disgusting. But you know what? This is Caitlin Clark's journey. I'm okay enjoying this ride because I get great satisfaction proving people wrong. It would make me uncomfortable if Caitlin Clark was this popular because of some of those negative reasons. Then it would be more uncomfortable for me to make these videos, for me to praise her, for me to be like, she's amazing, she's so popular. Like, I'll be like, this does feel a little bit wrong. But the pure belief that I have that that's not really a role in all of this, and the fact how great and amazing she is, and the fact that these women hate her for not only the right reasons, but also the wrong reasons, I'm like, you know what? All right, I'm going to sit back and watch this. I'm going to enjoy every single moment of this. I'm going to enjoy watching people just trip over their own words, constantly trying to make sense of why something is happening. And it's like, because you keep living in a false reality and you keep peddling this false reality. And when you keep meeting actual reality and it's not what you think it is, watching you cope with that, watching you try to figure out why, I love to see it. I love to witness it. I love to be part of it. I want it to change one day, but it's out of my control. I don't have the power. I don't have the platform. I don't look the way how I'm supposed to look to be able to voice some set of opinions. It's up to the other people out there. It's out of my hands. I can only do so much. I can try my best to be as nuanced as I possibly can, which I feel as though I do. And I will not downplay anyone's true pain, true discrimination, true prejudice. But when we keep creating ironically, a toxic environment, the very set environment that these women want to get rid of, when they're the ones that are creating it, that's how you get this insane hostility. Like Colin said, and we're going to talk about this in a separate video because there's just so much to unpack here. But Colin said, all right, listen, it was a flagrant and she got hit and then, blah, 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 blah. Like she, don't pander. She's a tough woman. She got right up. And it's like, think of the chain of events. She's been fouled all game, physical. She gets kind of like, kind of like a, I don't even know what to call it, but kind of like a chest check to her body, which wasn't called a foul. And then she gets poked in the eye, hit in the face, which I got news for you. That hurts. Anyone who's been poked in the eye in the middle of a game like that, it hurts. I don't care that you can see, minutes later. Like, it hurts. It's really uncomfortable. Then she continued to be all up in her space. And Caitlin Clark gives, like, the gentlest kind of, like, man, get away from me right now. And then immediately gets slammed to the ground. All within, realistically, like, a 5-second window. I mean, it's one thing after the other. It's just, dude, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It reminds me of the Nicolas Cage when he's just like going through I forget, he's either counting or he's saying A, B, C, where he's like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Like, that's what it reminds me of, because it's just one thing after the other. One thing after the other for Caitlin Clark. I mean, Angel Reese gets a bootleg triple-double, and it's like, who cares? The one woman, I forget her name, and I'm going to make videos about this, comparing them all, who ties the record for most threes, and it's like, who cares? Caitlin Clark plays out of her mind on Saturday, has the third most viewed WNBA game in WNBA history, and puts on an absolute insane show, making threes from the moon. That's who Caitlin Clark is. Someone in the comments said Caitlin Clark would be nothing if Paige didn't, tear up her knee. And it's like, that's the delusion we're working with here. That's the delusion we're working with here. What does that have to do with what Caitlin Clark is doing in the WNBA right now? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caitlin Clark? Kind of what's leading to just this heightened intensity towards her. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.